The Mozambique Armed Defense Forces or FADM are the national armed forces of Mozambique. They include the General Staff of the Armed Forces and 3 branches of service: Army, Air Force and Navy. The FADM were formed in mid-August 1994 by the integration of the People's Forces of Liberation of Mozambique with the military wing of RENAMO, following the end of the Civil War. The Mozambique Defense Armed Forces were formed in mid-August 1994 from the previous warring factions of the Mozambique Civil War, which ended in 1992. The new armed forces were formed through a commission, the Comissão Conjunta para a Formação das Forças Armadas de Defesa e Segurança de Moçambique, who wished to stay in uniform. 2 generals were appointed to lead the new forces. One from FRELIMO, Lieutenant General Lagos Lidimo, who was named Chief of the Defense Force, and Major General Mateus Nonhamo from RENAMO as Vice Chief of the Defense Force. The former Chief of the Army, Lieutenant General Antonio Hamathai, was retired. On the 20th of March 2008, Reuters reported that President Gebuza had dismissed the Chief and Vice Chief of the Defense Force, Lieutenant General Lagos Lidimo and Lieutenant General Mateus Nonhamo, replacing them with Brigadier General Paulino Macarang as Chief of Defense Force and Major General Olimpio Cambora as Vice Chief of Defense Force. Felipe Nyusi took office as Minister of Defense on the 27th of March 2008, succeeding Tobias Vakim Dai. Nyusi's appointment came almost exactly 1 year after a fire and resulting explosions of munitions at the Malazine Armory in Maputo killed more than 100 people and destroyed 14,000 homes. A government-appointed investigative commission concluded that negligence played a role in the disaster, and Dai was blamed by many for failing to act on time to prevent the loss of life. Although no official reason was given for Dai's removal, it may have been a delayed reaction to the Malazine disaster. The first 3 infantry battalions were stationed at Chokwe, Cuamba, and Quelimane. In April 2010 it was announced that the People's Republic of China donated to the FADM material for agriculture worth €4 million, including trucks, tractors, agricultural implements, mowers and motorbikes in the framework of bilateral cooperation in the military. Under a protocol of cooperation in the military field, the government of China will also provide support to the Ministry of Defense of Mozambique with about €1 million for the areas of training and logistics. The protocol for granting aid to the armed forces for the defense of Mozambique was signed by Defense Minister of Mozambique, Felipe Nyusi, and the charge d'affaires of the Chinese embassy in Maputo, Li Tongli. Mozambique has also been involved in many peacekeeping operations in Burundi, Comoros, Democratic Republic of the Congo, East Timor and Sudan. They have also actively participated in joint military operations such as Blue Hung in Zimbabwe in 1997 and Blue Crane in South Africa in 1999. All which are at attempt to build security and trust in the southern African region. The Mozambican army was formed in 1976 from 3 conventional battalions, 2 of which were trained in Tanzania and a third of which was trained in Zambia. Army officer candidates were initially trained in Maputo by Chinese military instructors. In March 1977, following Mozambique's Treaty of Friendship and Cooperation with the Soviet Union, officer candidates became eligible for training in various Warsaw Pact member states. The Soviet military mission in Mozambique assisted in raising a new army composed of 5 infantry brigades and an armored brigade. At the height of the Civil War, this was gradually increased to 8 infantry brigades, an armored brigade, and a counter-insurgency brigade modeled after the Zimbabwean 5th Brigade. The pre-existing army was abolished after the end of the Civil War under the auspices of the Joint Commission for the formation of the Mozambican Defense Force, which included advisors from Portugal, France, and the United Kingdom. The CCFADM recommended that former army personnel and an equal number of demobilized RENAMO insurgents be integrated into a single force numbering about 30,000. Due to logistics problems and budgetary constraints, However, the army only numbered about 12,195 in 1995. Force levels rarely fluctuated between 1995 and the mid-2000s due to the army's limited resources and low budget priority. In 2016, the Mozambican army consisted of 10,000 troops organized into 3 special forces battalions, 7 light infantry battalions, 2 engineer battalions, 2 artillery battalions, and a single logistics battalion. As of 2017, the serving chief of the army was Major General Eugenio Dias da Silva. Between 1977 and 1989, the Mozambican army was lavishly supplied with Soviet weapons, as well as a Soviet-supervised technical program to oversee their logistics needs and maintenance. Following the collapse